Cheers, folks. It's been a hot minute since I've been on YouTube, excuse me, as I'm staring out my hotel window at the lovely city of Irving, Texas. Staring at a BioLife, a Best Buy in downtown Dallas. That's pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, I haven't been on here in like 3 weeks, and not that anyone cares, but we're here, and I wanted to do a quick video on the preparation of your ATP-CTP written exam on the good old PSI website. So I still got the hair done here. It's mid-afternoon in Irving, Texas, and I've been really cooped up with trying to study for that and get ready for SkyWest and do all that fun jazz. But had the test this morning and finally got a day where it's just kind of free, and I don't have to think about anything but just trying to help other folks again. So here we are. But anyways, cheers again, folks. The Flying Health Coach coming back at you. So the point of this video is ATP-CTP preparation, right? Any pilots out there that have taken any test, private, instrument, commercial, or CFI or FOIs and FIAs, right? All except for private, right? Know about Shepherd Air. And if you don't know about Shepherd Air, definitely got to use it. Fortunately, can't use it for private, right? I don't know why. I don't know if they're like the FAAs or something, or Shepherd Air is like, well, you have to get through the private test first and like prove yourself. I don't know. Who knows what the fuck it is, but I don't know. Anyway, Shepherd Air is a wonderful resource, right? You can use it for your instrument test, your commercial test, your FOIs, and your FIA for your CFI certificate. And again, the point of this video, is just to kind of recap my preparation for the ATP-CTP test. I took the test today, went really well. I got a 96%, so whoop-de-doo, good for me, big deal. But hopefully I can kind of help you guys study for this test. And studying for it really wasn't that bad, especially again if you do have Shepherd Air, which if you get hired by like a SkyWest or Endeavor or whatever, hired by a company, Frontier, whoever it is, they'll like most likely pay for your ATP-CTP training, which then you're going to come out to ATP, right? You'll do your sim time, right? You'll do your sim sessions with an instructor, and then you'll do your ATP-CTP written exam, which consists of, I think they did 130 questions, or was it 125? I forget, but which is dumb. I just took it like 6 hours ago. But 125 or 130 questions, right? And you got to get 70% or better to pass it. But I'm here to shed some light on the test because I realized a lot of my classmates seem to be really nervous about studying for this, and I think people are nervous about studying for tests in general. And the biggest tip I have when it comes to utilizing Shepherd Air and studying for tests, and this goes for even just for your practical tests for certifications for private, instrument, so on and so forth through the gamut. But I can't emphasize it enough that if doing a little bit every single day versus cramming, because you really can't cram in aviation, right? Probably can't cram in the medical world, in any kind of business world. You can't really cram for anything because it's not gonna stick in your head. It's just too much information over a short period of time. But what I did, and hopefully this helps the folks that are looking to starting to apply at some regional airlines in the 121 world, or even applying for other 135 operations that maybe want you to get the ATP. Once you get signed up through Shepherd Air, and obviously you want to start sooner than later, right? You don't want to wait like 3 or 4 or 5 days prior to your test to start studying, because it's way too much to do just a couple days prior to. It's doable, but it's a lot to actually maybe learn a few things and to take some information away from it. But I got signed up for I didn't get signed up for it, but I got my Shepherd Air probably about 2 weeks ago now, and I took my test today. And my approach was, because in Shepherd Air, they have aerodynamics, they have generals, they have FARs, they have instrument, they have weight and balance, they have one other section. I think there's like 5 or 6 sections, maybe 7 they have you study. And it can be overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be, right? And it doesn't have to be overwhelming if you can dedicate, and this is what I did, right? If you dedicate, I did 1 hour a day. That's really literally all I did. Over the past 2 weeks, I did an hour a day, so it accumulates to be, up until, yesterday. I didn't study today, but until yesterday, so I took 14 or 15 hours studying from an ATP test, right? I did basically an hour to an hour and a half every day of studying, and I kind of cut myself off at that time. So I started with, the performance section, right? I went through all the questions. I did an hour, and I took notes, and I was done. Next day, same thing. Started with either performance. If I didn't get that done, went to the next section, did an hour, same thing. Took notes, did an hour, got done. And the point of this conversation is that, A, not to overwhelm yourself, right? And B, to pace yourself. And maybe there's a C in there, but to also know your limits. So for me, I know that I can study for 45 minutes to an hour on a given time, right? 45 minutes to an hour is the most I can do, not in a day, but just at one sitting. So I'll study for an hour, and then I know I need to go for a walk, I need to go work out, I need to just do something to get myself away from my iPad, away from studying, away from my note taking, right? After maybe 15, 20 minutes of doing that, if I feel like I can come back to it, I will. If I don't feel like coming back to it, I won't, right? So there's a mix of some of those days in there in the past 14 days where I'd study for an hour, I'd go work out, I'd go eat, I would do something just to be, something completely different than ATP stuff and aviation. And then if I felt good to come back to it, I felt confident to come back to it, I would, and I'd study for like another half hour. If I didn't, I just wouldn't study anymore. And that process, starting early, taking your time, it makes it more doable, right? You don't despise studying, but then you work harder in that time frame, right? Like I said, in that hour's time, I would not only look at the questions, look at the answers, but I would take notes on the answers, and I would actually take time to understand the material. And that's all I did. I mean, truthfully, right? I mean, nothing. Whenever you're taking a test, like, some people say like, oh, it's the hardest thing ever, or this train's the hardest thing ever, being this is the hardest thing ever. Well, it's only hard because you don't know how to prepare, in my opinion, right? I could be dead wrong, but you have to prepare to your level, right? You hear people that say, well, I studied, hours every day on the end, right? Well, maybe you did, but maybe you also started studying late. So, in my opinion, right, when you're preparing for your ATP-CTP test, and if it's something you're worried about, get Shepherd Air or get something, Glyme or whatever have you. Get those resources as soon as you can, and then just start doing it half hour every single day. Because then, you'll get through the material after like 2 or 3 days. You'll get through all the questions, right? Then you can let all that process, and then once you get through all the questions, you start back fresh again. Again, same thing. 2 or 3 days takes you time to get through all the questions, and now over the course of 6 or 7 days or a week, you've been through the questions twice. You do it one more time. Okay. Now over the course of maybe 10 or 11 days, you've been through the questions 3 times. And now it's like, okay, I know what to expect. I know the questions. I've learned some stuff. I've learned how to do the charts. I've learned how to ask questions. And you've done all of this work, right? You've done now up to this point, maybe, 11, 12, 13 hours of studying, but you've done it periodically over a short period of time without stressing yourself, right? And I wanted to make this video too because this morning before I went and took my test, a lot of my classmates, they seemed to be, overly stressed about the test. They were worried they weren't going to get a good score. They worried they weren't going to pass. They were just really worried, and I could see it. But, and again, I'm not tooting my own horn here, but, I didn't study last night, right? I studied, well, I did. I studied for like a half hour maybe, but looked over my marked questions like a half hour last night. I got some good sleep, woke up, did my normal routine, had coffee, just relaxed, and I just went in there just completely calm and, completely calm because I had done, multiple hours the past 2.5 weeks leading up to this point, and that concept applies to anything you do, right? If you can do just a little bit every single day, that's really all you need to do. You don't ever have to be like, I have to study 2, 3, 4 hours every single day and not live a life, because, again, you have to live a life. You have to budget time for stuff that fulfills you. And again, for me, it's, eating good food, getting exercise in, having a little bit of wine, right? And yes, I'm well aware it's 4:36 on a Friday. I'm in Irving, Texas, and I'm having wine right now. I get that. I'm doing it because I passed my ATP exam, and I just feel like, you know what? I'm going to do this because I can. But the more you can pace yourself and the more you can just take your time and do a little bit every single day, it's going to save you a lot of stress and a lot of headache of all of a sudden, 4 or 5 days prior to a big test, and you have to cram now and you don't have any time. So, and this is a big metaphor for life, right? If you want to make monumental changes in life, if you want to do all these big changes or make a different life for yourself, you can't do it all in one day. You have to progressively do little habits every day that are going to build into something bigger. It's like the Atomic Habits book I used to always talk about. If you want to lose a lot of weight, if you want to get a degree, if you want to build a business or become a millionaire, right? I'm not a millionaire yet, but I will be at some point. You just can't do it overnight, right? You have to do multiple habits every single day consistently to get to where you want to be eventually, right? And the same thing goes for this test. So that's the point of this video. Obviously, I hope everyone's doing well that does watch this. Hope you're all having a great week. It's hotter than shit down here in Irving. It's like 85 degrees when my Apple Watch is over there somewheres. But yeah, biggest point, like I said, is, whether you're studying for ATP-Ctp test, whether it's you're going to go for a new business, you're going for whatever in life, it doesn't matter what it is, right? But do something for a little bit every single day. And those little actions you do every day are going to compound. They're going to build up, right? And it's hard to do that, I know, because you don't see the result immediately. But after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks of doing something consistently, you're going to feel a lot better. You're going to feel smarter. You're going to see progress. And it's just going to build your motivation as time goes. So anyway, good to be back on the good old YouTube. I'm flying out to, as I got to turn that off, I'm flying out to Salt Lake City on Sunday. I'm going to start doing the videos again in a week, or, like 1 or 2 a week. I'd like to do to kind of, showcase the Sky West training program and help some folks out that are going into it. But other than that, hope you all are doing good. Cheers. Happy Friday. And we'll be in touch soon. Peace.